And we are live. Yay. Okay. Ezekiel again.
Ezekiel.
We've been running into all kinds of stuff in Ezekiel. I'm Donita from prairiedusttrail.com. And this is Emmy.
Hello, I am Emmy from the Manor.
All right. And this is part, what did I say it was? Part 7. Part 7. I thought we would be doing more chapters at a time, but we kind of get stuck in one chapter and then we're just kind of completely getting sidetracked with it. So
this chapter's short, so we might kick it in 2.
We might. I kind of thought that with the last one, but
yes, and then we went down. Not down. We went up. We went up the trail, not down a rabbit hole.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, when you're talking about God's word, it is up, 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 up all the way. There's no over the hill whenever you're in God's word. It is absolutely where it is. Okay, I think I've got everything. Let me present the screen. Let's see. Nope. Sure. Okay.
All right.
All right. Let's see. Then he cried in my ears with a loud voice, saying, "Bring near the executioners of the city, each with his destroying weapon in his hand. And behold, 6 men came from the direction of the upper gate, which faces north, each with his weapon for slaughter in his hand. And with them was a man clothed in linen, with a writing case at his waist. And they went in and stood beside the bronze altar. Now the glory of God of Israel had gone up from the cherubim on which it rested to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed in linen, who had the writing case at his waist. And the Lord said to him, "Pass through the city, through Jerusalem, and put a mark on the foreheads of the men who sigh and groan over all the abominations that are committed in it." That is interesting. I'm going to pause and share.
I was thinking the same thing.
Because Revelation, so often in Revelation, we get stuck on the mark of the beast. But we don't realize before the mark of the beast in Revelation, there is a mark of God on God's people. Mm-hmm. And there's precedent for this here.
Yes.
Pass through the city, and through Jerusalem, and put a mark on the foreheads of the men who are sighing and groaning over the abominations that are being committed. So those people, and we know today who we are, right? People who are, really frustrated, sad, upset about some of the things going on in the world today. And I'm not going to name anything particular because
we don't want to get flagged.
Censorship these days. Any of those words can end up being a problem. But you know what it is whenever you run into those things that are happening in the world today or in your community, and you just breaks your heart, those with the broken hearts, those with the, he is marking us out. If he is giving you the eyes to see and the heart to feel it, then know that you are marked. You do not have to worry about a mark of the beast. If this is where you're at, if you are part of the remnant and your heart is breaking for the things that are happening, you don't have to worry at all about the mark of the beast. It is not for you. Okay. So I don't think that's the one that we need to concentrate on. Aware of, maybe, yeah. I'm watching Neuralink and, all of these things, right?
Yeah.
But we just want to make sure we've got the right mark first.
Yes. Awareness, not focus. Maybe. Fixating. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah. We don't want to fixate on the bad stuff. We want to focus on the good stuff. Never know where I want to put my windows. I'm bouncing it around. Okay, 5. And to the others, he said in my hearing, pass through the city after him and strike. Your eyes shall not spare, and you shall show no pity. Kill old men outright, young men and maidens, and little children and women, but touch no one on whom is the mark, and begin at the sanctuary. So they began with the elders who were before the house. Again, we have precedent for this. Even before this, whenever we talk about Egypt and the 10 plagues before the Exodus, the firstborn of everything died that did not have the blood on the doorposts. And we know now the blood on the doorposts is Jesus's blood over our hearts. So we need to make sure that we have that today. And if you are watching this and you do not understand these concepts, please, message one of us or leave a comment or something, and we will go into more detail. I know that we do have people from all over the world that watch sometimes, and we will, go into more detail, and we want to make sure that your questions are answered. And if you have questions that we don't know the answers to, we'll help you find them, help you find the answers. So, let's see. And then he said to them, defile the house and fill the courts with the slain. Go out. So they went out and struck the city. And while they were striking, and I was left alone, I fell upon my face and cried, O Yahweh God, will you destroy all the remnant of Israel in the outpouring of your wrath in Jerusalem? Then he said to me, the guilt of the house of Israel and Judah is exceedingly great. The land is full of blood, and the city full of injustice. For they say, Yahweh has forsaken the land, and Yahweh does not see. As for me, my eye will not spare, nor will I have pity. I will bring their deeds upon their heads. And I have to say here too, because people say, see what a terrible God he is. See what an awful God he is. He said to kill old people and women and children, which these are the same people who usually think that old women and old men and children should, that it is somebody's
completely innocent.
Yeah. Well, either that or they believe that some people should have the right to decide whether or not some of those don't live. Okay,
that's true.
So
yes.
If it's God doing it, then that's a terrible thing. But if it's your body, your choice, then it's okay.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
So, but I want to say what was actually going on here was that they were sacrificing their own children to idols. Yeah. They were killing their own children. So what he was trying to do is stop the atrocities that were happening. And sometimes in order to stop something bad, you have to do something bad to stop something bad.
Extreme.
Yes, extreme. There we go. Sometimes it takes something very extreme to stop something that is awful happening. So it's a tough situation, but there are a couple of places in the Bible, and of course people who don't like the Bible are going to point out your God believes in genocide and this kind of stuff, and it's like, well, actually he was trying to stop that.
Yeah.
That was what was happening. Abominations are things that make you literally upset to your stomach. So,
Yeah.
you know, this was bad, nasty, terrible, terrible stuff. And it took extreme circumstances to stop it. So, yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. And behold, the man clothed in linen with the writing case at his waist brought back word, saying, I have done as you commanded me.
Whew.
That's a lot there just in 11 verses, right? First of all, I want this outfit.
Yeah, right. Me too. I was watching a thing on linen earlier, and I'm like, I need some linen.
Yeah, and the writing case at his waist. Yes, I want this. I'm like, okay, was it like a cylindrical leather piece with a snap on it and like a crossbody, you know, and it would have had
like a messenger bag, maybe?
Maybe type of thing with ink and a quill or some kind of writing utensil.
Whatever.
And a roll of parchment. I mean, is that what it was?
Yeah.
That I'm ready to. I'm totally ready to. Yep. I need one.
Yep.
This is like cool outfit.
That is cool.
Did you have any other thoughts on this or anything that we should look up?
I don't know. I'm looking back for just a minute because it's a continuation of this vision. And it's one of the, where I like to just, that's one of the things that having chapter and verse is helpful when you're trying to get through stuff. And at the same time, it's like, can sometimes be a hindrance. Because you're like, okay, was there something before this? But this where he saw all the abominations that they were doing in Jerusalem. And that's where he's like, no more, I'm not doing this. I'm in Deuteronomy 30 this morning, and it's just like he's like, I've set before you life and death, and they chose death. So that would be another thing too. Is like he's given them full warning. He's not, talking about like the, see how how people want to say see how evil God is, and it's like, no, he's not evil. He's given them full warning that that these things, if you choose life or choose death is what's going to come to you. And it's heartbreaking. But then at the same time, we have to remember that he is just and he will avenge his name.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to look up the word remnant.
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like the word remnant is, I think that's what so many of us today are being called out of religiosity and churchianity. Mm-hmm. And you get a little pushback on that because the New Testament says don't forsake the gathering together with others. And I will say we are not. In the Old Testament, and even whenever that was written, they got together 3 times a year.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, you did have some synagogues and stuff around, but, if you were a traveling merchant or something like that, sometimes it just, not everybody just sits in one place and has the whole go to church on Sunday situation thing. And it wasn't on Sunday anyway. So, and some people do need that congregational setting. They need that regular accountability and that nurturing. And if you're getting that, praise the Lord, But, sometimes depending on where you're at in your growth and everything, you're at a different place. Yeah. And that 3 times a year thing. And remember, our gathering together can be anytime, any place, anywhere, with anyone.
Okay? See, and that's what they miss, is they're not connecting Hebrews to Acts. Acts says they were in each other's homes daily.
Yeah. And people have really, I mean, people hardly ever, I mean, I know our neighbors, we never visit our neighbors, and our neighbors only come over here whenever they want something. Whenever they're wanting Paul to work on some electrical thing or something.
I'm double checking myself. Sorry, I just want to
Okay,
make
that's
sure I
fine.
was not wrong on that. But
But
day by day, continuing with one mind in the temple and breaking bread from house to house. They were taking their meals together with gladness and sincerity of heart, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord was adding to their number day by day those who were being saved.
And what verse is that?
That's Acts 2, 46 and 47. So that probably doesn't mean necessarily every single day, but I mean, day by day means that you were seeing this all the time. It was not.
You were seeing it regularly. Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to check myself, because I was like, I'm not sure it said daily. But
yeah, well, we should always be checking. Always double check us. Yes, always double check us. We need to double check ourselves as well. But yeah, that in some churches, like some of the Catholic churches have daily mass. Now ours out here, they wouldn't be able to do that because the priest of the local Catholic churches, he is like the one over like 3 counties, I think. No, 4 counties. No, it's 3 counties. It's 4 churches. I think 5 churches. 4 or 5 churches. I think one of the churches is actually in like somebody's garage or something. So, I mean, they can't meet daily. He would be going, poor guy. I mean, I don't know how he handles his Sundays anyway, because, going to all of those on one day is pretty, and that's a lot of driving because everything's not just like real close together out here. So he easily on a Sunday drives a few hundred miles, I'm sure, and in order to do what he does do. So, but in some of the cities and stuff, they have like a daily mass. So yeah, if like I said, if you have a good place that is nurturing, and I don't care what the denomination is, I don't think God cares what the denomination is. Just make sure he's there. And I hate to talk down on our locals, but at one point in time, and I can't say that it's that way anymore, okay? But at one point in time, somebody asked us why we didn't go to church. And I told them, I said, because I know who runs each one of these churches, and it's not him. So, that is important. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of the churches today have a Mason cornerstone somewhere around the perimeter of their churches. And a lot of times, either the pastor or deacons or some of the elders are Masons. Now, I know the church that our oldest and her husband go to, before you become like a member of their church, the pastor will ask and will tell them that being a part of a lodge is not conducive with being a part of the church that's serving 2 masters. So, I mean, that's good.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you have a good nurturing place that you're going to, but please don't be judgmental to those who are struggling to find that place, or, we can get regular fellowship in other places. And if you happen to be a local to me and you don't have a place, you are always welcome.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah, our doors are open, and we do, especially over the weekend, we have people come in to go, regularly. We don't have any kind of an organized thing usually. We just fellowship as the Lord brings it. So, let's see, no comments. Okay. Just want to double check. All right, shall we move to chapter 10? I mean, we
Yeah.
might.
Okay. It's part of the same vision, so let's just keep going.
Okay. I'll let you read the next one.
All right, I will read. I guess I'll read off the screen. Then I looked, and behold, on the expanse that was over the heads of the cherubim, there appeared above them something like a sapphire, in appearance like a throne. And he said to the man clothed in linen, "Go in among the whirling wheels underneath the cherubim. Fill your hands with burning coals from between the cherubim and scatter them over the city." Okay. And he went in before my eyes. Now the cherubim were standing on the south side of the house when the man went in, and a cloud filled the inner court. And the glory of Jehovah went up from the cherub to the threshold of the house, and the house was filled with the cloud, and the court was filled with the brightness of the glory of Jehovah. And the sound of the wings of the cherubim was heard as far as the outer court, like the voice of God Almighty when he speaks. And when he commanded the man clothed in linen, "Take fire from between the whirling wheels, from between the cherubim," he went in and stood beside a wheel. And a cherub stretched out his hand from between the cherubim to the fire that was between the cherubim, and took some of it and put it into his hands. And the man clothed in linen, who took it and went out, the cherubim appeared to have the form of a human hand under their wings. So they are touching this with their bare hands. Okay. And I looked, and behold, there were 4 wheels beside the cherubim, one beside each cherub, and the appearance of the wheels was like sparkling beryl. And as for their appearance, the 4 had the same likeness, as if a wheel were within a wheel. That when they went in any of their 4 directions, without turning as they went, but in whatever direction the front wheel faced. The others followed without turning as they went. And their whole body, their rims and their spokes, their wings and the wheels were full of eyes all around, the wheels that the 4 of them had. As for the wheels, they were called, in my hearing, the whirling wheels. And every one had 4 faces. The first face was like that of a cherub, and the second face was a human face, and the third was the face of a lion, and the fourth the face of an eagle. Okay, now I want to know what a cherub's face looks like.
I really think the cherub, I've got mosquitoes trying to eat me for some reason. Sorry, guys. The Egyptian things that we, the carvings and stuff that we see, and they say, oh, it's this god and Osiris and this one and that one. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what these sound like to me.
Okay.
They've got the heads of, and a lot of times there's wings as well. They'll show wings. And then the Assyrian and Sumerian stuff, the older, their stuff is very, very similar. And sometimes they'll show like 2 or 3 sets of wings. And then the Mayan and Aztec stuff does as well. Okay. So I think they are all showing these creatures. Okay. And so the ones that they're showing very well could have either been a glimpse of heaven that somebody had, or it could have been the fallen ones that they were depicting.
Right. Because we don't know which all fell. I mean, we'd assume some from every rank, I guess. I don't know.
You would assume. I mean, that's kind of, and we don't know what the rest of the kingdom of heaven is a whole, civilization.
Yeah.
Of itself.
I'm still wrapping my mind around that.
It's hard to. 200 fell in Genesis 6. 200 came down. in
Yeah.
Genesis 6. And then it says that when Satan fell, a third of them came with him. So that's a honking lot of stuff,
Something. Yeah.
right? So, and then you go back to all of the folklore and the, myths and legends and all of that kind of stuff. And they often talk about very, very similar creatures.
Yeah.
So,
That's really, that's so interesting.
yeah, you've really got to open your mind up to realize Atlantis was probably based off of something real,
Oh, yeah.
and all of these creatures and stuff that we're familiar with that are getting put in movies and stuff nowadays. Yeah, they are based off of something real. So he wasn't making this up.
Yeah.
This wasn't, it was a vision. So there's spiritual aspects to this, but what he was seeing was based in some kind of reality.
Yes. Yes. Super important to remember when you're reading this. Oh, okay. So, and the cherubim mounted up. These were the living creatures that I saw by the Habar canal, and when the cherubim went up, the wheels went beside them. And when the cherubim lifted their wings to mount up from the earth, the wheels did not turn from beside them. When they stood still, these stood still. And when they mounted up, these mounted up with them. For the spirit of the living creatures was with them. Then the glory of Jehovah went out from the threshold of the house and stood over the cherubim. And the cherubim lifted up their wings and mounted up from the earth before my eyes as they went out, with the wheels beside them. And they stood at the entrance of the east gate of the house of Jehovah, and the glory of the God of Israel was over them. These were the living creatures that I saw underneath the God of Israel by the Habar canal, and I knew that they were cherubim. Each had 4 faces, and each had 4 wings, and underneath their wings a likeness of human hands. And as for the likeness of each of their faces, they were the same faces as whose appearance I had seen by the Habar canal. Each one of them went straight forward. And also the repetition is also extremely important because he's saying the same thing. I know that is very important in like Hebrew documentation. It's like today, if we wrote that in English, we would be scolded for repeating ourselves. But it's like, no, he's saying this is important. Like, I'm not, like what you were just saying, I'm not making this up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you read like a scientific research study, there is repetition. There is, because you have an introduction to, the object of the study, what their what their questions are and what they think that they're going to get out of the study, right?
Yeah.
What they're looking for. And then they will give you all of the information that they're all the variables and things that they're taking into account in the study. And you have to realize they can't take into account every variable. We just can't.
Nope.
There are so many variables, so they have to let you know what it is are the variables in that study. And then they're going to give you a conclusion, and that's going to conclude all of the stuff before. So, ancient documents were really good at this.
Yeah.
You have to have like almost special training to write a research paper. It's called APA writing. It is a specific kind of writing. Just like writing for like a newspaper or the press is AP writing. It is a special kind of writing, and it's different than a book report or an essay or something that we learn in schools. And used to, 8th graders knew this stuff. 8th graders could read and write this stuff, in the 30s. But, so while the Bible seems to be confusing to somebody who's just starting to read it, if you can understand that they were much more advanced at this
Yes.
time than what we are today. We're not evolving, we're devolving.
Yeah.
So, they knew a lot more. So don't think, oh, they were just writing about things that they saw at the time. Well, there are carvings in India that are very old, very, very old, BC old, that have bicycles, helicopters,
Mm-hmm.
jet airplanes, things like that. We've got things all over the world, South America, the Nazca lines and things like that. Just the way that cities like Washington D.C. are laid out, perfectly laid out, could only have been done if you could see it from above. So, that if we can put ourselves in, yeah, it's just kind of like, if you've never thought this way before, it's a big thought.
Mm-hmm. It
It's a
is.
big thought. And Solomon, BC, Solomon said, there's nothing new under the sun. And that's
Yep.
precedent. That means
Yep.
today, whatever we have today, they had before the flood and more. So internet,
Clearly.
yep, they had something like that, even better.
Yep.
Not recreate a cathedral today. I mean,
And that's so crazy. Like, why? I just want to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously they have an understanding of something.
well,
But it's
you
like,
can't recreate cloth that they had.
yeah.
That we have
It's crazy.
scraps of. We can't recreate that cloth. It is so fine. Such just from the early 1800s during the Napoleon period, and you had the empire dresses, the Regency dresses. And they were made out of a muslin. It was called muslin, but it's not the kind of muslin that we buy today. Muslin today is a very loose weave, inexpensive fabric. That muslin was so fine that you could take 10 yards of it and put it in a little bitty box. It was so fine.
Wow.
And we cannot reproduce that today. First of all, we don't have the fine motor skills. I'm sitting here with neuropathy. I can't even feel my fingertips, much less to do. And I know so many people have, these issues today. I have trouble knitting and crocheting today, much less using very fine, thin needles to do it. And these people were doing this kind of work in creating this beautiful stuff from the time they were very young until they were very old.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of mind-blowing.
A little bit. Oh my goodness. Yeah, because I don't even think I know how to describe it, because it's like I've been on this journey for a couple of years now, and it's just like and every time I hear it, it's a little bit more like, wow, a little bit, because when you read things like this, you're going, yeah, they know what like those kinds of wheels were. In fact, it was even more brilliant than the wheels that we have today. And they knew exactly what they were saying. They're not, I one of the questions I have asked many, many times of the Bible is like, if God knew we were going to have all these advanced technologies and stuff, why didn't he put just something in there to to show us this, so we would know a little bit about like how to navigate some of this as believers? And then you start learning, oh wait, they had better technology than we did, so it didn't need to be put in there.
Yeah,
knew it already.
Yeah, he's explaining this, and who's to say these cherubim, it's talking about the wheels and stuff, who is to say that they weren't using a contraption of some sort, that they weren't using some technology of some sort, that maybe these four wings were they had a set of wings, and then they were on a contraption that had a set of wings. I don't know.
We don't. Yeah.
And a lot of the ancient aliens people definitely believe that's the case. They definitely believe we're talking about aliens, which they would be.
Yeah.
Extraterrestrial just means not of this earth. Terra is earth. That is our ground. They are not of this earth. So be they interdimensional beings or whatever, that's what angels are. That's what cherubim and all of this. Now, cherubim are not the cute little baby, babies with wings. That is the whole Greek and Roman.
That's why I was like, I want to know what the cherub's face looks like, because that's all we're taught is the little cute baby face. It's like, it's not that.
And that is so. I got rid of all of those. I used to have a collection of, and I had a friend who had a baby that passed away. And she said, I refuse to believe that my baby is some little cherubim up in heaven with angel wings, And I'm like, oh, I never thought about that before. And then we started learning, history, because when you're homeschooling, of course you look into some of this stuff. And we've always enjoyed looking into Greek and Norse myths and things like that. And you find out where this kind of the ideas of what some of this stuff is. And the Bible is much cooler. Okay.
Yes.
The Bible is just much cooler than that.
Yeah. So, the more you dig, the more you want to dig.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. At least that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. Obviously, I've been growing for a long time. But these last few years, it's like exponential, just what God has shown me over and over again as I'm studying His Word and pressing into His Word and teaching our children to press into the Word. And it's the Bible. It comes more and more alive the more you read it. And it's like, it is living, right? It's living, it's active.
Yes.
And it's working in us to make us more like Yeshua. And trying to help it come alive to my children lately. We're also reading through Ezekiel. And the discussions we've had over the past couple of weeks have just been like, wow, because they're starting to make connections to things. And they're like, oh, wait, we heard this over here. How does that fit in here? How does this fit there? And it's just
so often children don't have the preconceived ideas that we do. And they can catch on to things so much faster than we do. And sometimes their little brains can think of possibilities that we never considered. Kind of like that one verse in Matthew where Jesus says that some of you will not die until I return. Well, my children, and because I'm heathenistic about watching movies, so I watch ungodly movies, and we had watched the Highlander movie. And, there shall be only one. And anyway, if you know, but my children were reading this in Matthew, and they're like, Mom, there's Highlanders in the Bible. Because it's and somebody else may say, wait a minute, does that mean they're vampires, or what? And the more we're learning and the more we kind of toy with the fact that we were the idea that we might be in the little season at this point, then that kind of gives a whole nother, okay, well, maybe this was the way it happened. And this is what he was. We don't know for sure what he did mean at that time.
Yeah.
And there's so many possibilities, and the children can really, really pull and come up with neat things.
Yeah, because that is something that I'm always keeping in the back of my mind as I'm reading scripture and I hear an argument over here and an argument over there, and I'm like, okay, well, that verse kind of fits with this argument. Oh, this one, no, that one rebuts this one, but it supports this one. And it's just like, it's so fun talking it through with our children too, because we talk through all kinds of things, and it's just like this whole adventure trying to go. You know what? Like, and it's okay that we don't know. And the more I study, the more I'm like, I don't know.
Yes. And if we remember the whole battle plans,
yes,
we're not meant to know it all. And he doesn't say you'll only be blessed if you understand it.
Right.
Yeah. It says you'll be blessed if you listen to it, if you read it, and it is the glory of kings to search it out.
Yes. Yeah.
And we are heirs to the kingdom. So that means that it is our job to search it out. I had a conversation with the 2 little 4-year-olds this morning, and it's like, you girls are princesses, and I expect you to act like princesses. If you act like little brats, you will get treated like little brats. If you act like princesses, you will get treated like princesses. And I saw with one of them was ignoring me. The other one was like, light bulb. And she's like, I don't know about that. You can just see in her eyes, this going on. And I'm like, she's starting to think about these things. So that's good. That's good. They've got amazing.
Well, and even with that, like explaining that too, because when I was coming up, when my little ones were coming out, the whole princess thing got taken like way to the extreme. And I was just like, I can't handle this. And so it's taken me a long time to come back to that understanding as a royal priesthood, right? Like, as that we are royalty because we are children of the King. And I'm thankful for friends that we've had in our life that have helped us to understand that a little better. But it's a good point, because it's like, what does that mean? In fact, there's actually a movie that the Disney Channel did that I enjoyed it. It's called the Princess Protection Program. I let them watch that because the whole point of the movie is how princesses were supposed to serve, not be served. She was still served, like she still expected. So it was that battle that she had going on of like learning what it meant to be common, I guess, given the situation that she was in.
The Barbie princess movies are good at that.
Are they? Interesting.
Yeah, they're pretty good at that. And is it Princess Diaries?
Yes.
Yes, that's pretty good at that too.
Yeah, I like Princess Diaries.
Yeah.
I have other qualms with those, but not that part of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's responsibility.
Yes, and that's what
and there's a way that you carry yourself. There's a confidence that young people are all of us are missing at this point, right?
Yeah.
And most people are spending a majority of their time today, and I hate to say most people, but I think it's true, with anxiety and imposter syndrome, and pick it the issues that we struggle with today, right? And we all do. But if we can consider ourselves part of a priesthood, part of an heir to a kingdom, then there should come with that a confidence, a regalness, an uprightness in the way we carry ourselves, and the way, if we treat ourselves with respect. There's a whole thing with, self-care right now and mental health. And why is that? Because people have not been taught to carry yourself with dignity and respect. And if you're respectful to others and you're carrying yourself with dignity and expecting others to be respectful of you, you know, then you're going to be treated completely different. You know, I mean, look at Candace Owens. I mean, she is the epitome of poise and beauty. She really is.
She really is.
She is always respectful. You know, and I'm sure she has her moments. You know, we all do. Okay. I'm sure she has, you know, her PMS and things like that. But I mean, when she is in the public light, she is just the epitome of poise and beauty. And that is how every woman should see herself. No matter, you know, what your circumstances and your, you know, I went through some pretty bad stuff in my younger years. But, you know, I learned that no matter how bad my circumstances are, I still could hold myself with dignity, you know, and we all need that. And we need to encourage each other in that, build each other up to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That actually reminds me of what I was reading in Deuteronomy 30 today. And I'm just going to read verse 3 of Deuteronomy 30. It says, "Then Jehovah your God will restore you from captivity and have compassion on you and will gather you again from all the peoples where Jehovah your God has scattered you." And I know what it's talking about here, so I am doing a little proof texting. But when I read that this morning, it was like God just said to me, get rid of the rest of those chains, get out of that captivity and come live freely in me. And you know, like, because he's calling me home. I mean, that's at this point, like, I'm waiting to go home, but he's like, get rid of the rest of those chains. I mean, because they come in like weird little ways, you know, where you're just like, I thought I got rid of that, like, or where did that come from?
And Satan, you know, the enemy knows how to bring things up from our past. He totally knows how. He knows what our buttons are and how to get people around us to help push those buttons. And yeah, he totally knows what our weaknesses are. And so he tries, you know, those boundaries all the time. And that's why it's so important to have on the armor of God.
Yes.
And, you know, don't just have your helmet on, but put that visor down as well. You know,
ooh, I like that.
Yeah, make sure you are protecting everything, you know, so that he doesn't have a place that he can get those fiery arrows in, because that's what happens whenever you aren't keeping that protection going and you aren't ready, standing ready because we are in a battle. We are in a war, and it is a constant battle. And yes, we're tired and we're ready to go home and put our feet up and sit at the Lord's feet, you know. But at this point, you know, this is where we're at. And
I love that, though. I'll have to include that. We've started at the end of our study, our mutual study time in the morning, we put on our armor. That's what we've been doing with the children, and it has been such a good visual to just, you know, to practice, you know, putting it all on.
Do you have the book, The Squire and the Scroll?
No.
You guys need that book. Oh my goodness. Yes. Okay. The little boy goes through the book, and he's a squire and he's learning to be a knight. And it goes through why he needs the different pieces of the armor. And it is so good. It is really good.
It's so good. Okay. I'll have to write that one down.
There's a princess one too by the same author. That's really good. Yeah.
It's been really good. You know, obviously we still have the battles, but like that continual reminder. Like, and like we just started this, but they're like, "Are we going to put on our armor?" And I'm like, "Yes, we're going to put on our armor."
Yeah. And I know a counselor who him and his wife would teach young people to hold up their shield whenever they were like bullied in school or something would happen in school that, you know, okay, put your arm up. That's your shield. Put your shield up and, you know,
Yes.
and speak truth. And he would give them something specific that they had to say. And they would actually put their arm up and then speak truth. And, you know, this is how you do it. And so it works. You know,
Yeah.
yep. I put my shield up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually really good. Yeah.
We live in a spiritual world. Even though
Yep.
we can't see everything around us that's spiritual, you know, if they've got a bully, there's a demon behind that bullying.
Yeah.
You know, there's something going on. And a lot of times that bully needs love too. You know,
Right.
that that's a bully because something bad's happening at home, usually.
Right.
But there's a demon there. You defeat that demon, then the bully doesn't have that encouragement anymore.
I love that. That is so good.
We need to empower our children.
Yes.
To protect themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
We've been almost an hour, so I think this has been a really good talk. The different directions we end up going with all of this are just so much fun. You never know where we're going to end up with it.
I love that how Holy Spirit works. It's just like he's just like, here.
Yeah. Amen.
Someone needs to hear it. I know I do.
Okay. I'm going to go look up the Princess Protection Program. So
okay.
I'm curious about that. So, okay. Well, thank y'all for showing up. And if you have any questions or anything, please let us know. If you've got any additional thoughts, something that's come to you about this that we didn't end up talking about, please comment and let us know, because sometimes you guys have insight that we just totally missed, and we love that. And if you're not subscribed to the magazine yet, why? The link is in the description, and the link to the community. The community is free, so join the community. And Emmy's got Bible studies and stuff to help you with your children, help you, you know, prepare for childbirth and things. Her and her husband have got amazing stuff. So, yep, visit and remember, you can make it through the dust storms of life with God's divine help.